Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Alexis, and I have had endometriosis for 2 years now, and I was diagnosed in an exploratory surgery in 2019.
Can you tell us more about your diagnosis history?
Yeah, I can. So when I first started getting my period, it was a little bit weird, but then everyone was like, it's just, your cycle needs to be worked out. It's part of being an adolescent. It'll, work itself out. And then I fainted in school from it, and they put me on birth control to try to, stabilize some hormone dips and rises that were abnormal at the time. And since then, it's just been a journey of different birth control pills, different methods of how often I get my period, getting migraine diagnoses, all of these things with fainting. I have a salt deficiency now. All of these, just trying to figure out why I'm fainting, why I'm experiencing as much pain as I am, until they exhausted every option except you might have endometriosis, which led to an exploratory surgery to see, but also then remove any found and to remove my appendix. So in the future, they can't confuse those pains.
How do the signs and symptoms you experience compare to the signs and symptoms commonly listed and discussed by doctors?
By doctors, a lot of them said that the menstrual cramps should not reach above a non-manageable level. They said, it'll be really annoying at first. Some Advil should knock it out. You should be able to continue with your day. And talking to peers saying, some said that they never even experienced cramps before. And that's when I was like, something's definitely off with me then, because I was so bad. I couldn't move. I definitely was not manageable. Definitely could not just pop Advil and go on with my day. It was a lot worse than that. And that was the beginning of what I figured out was something's different. Everyone didn't expect me to, including doctors, did not expect me to be fainting or have anything along those lines. And the flow was really inconsistent. It would be heavy and be light and definitely past the time where it should have worked itself out naturally. And that's when I was figuring out, like, something's definitely different menstrual cycle wise than a normal girl who can just usually pop some Advil and go on with her day.
Speaking of which, how do complications of endometriosis compare and contrast to general menstruation and the female monthly cycle?
So it makes everything a lot worse and a lot more, I'd say, unpredictable. So within each period, it's a very unique experience for me personally. So last month, I experienced a lot of pain. But this month, I'm experiencing a lot of fainting. Not a lot of pain at all, just fainting. So it's really just inconsistent, for sure, is one way that affects it. It affects the vitals, like blood pressure and everything like that, which I think is normal to a point of a monthly cycle, but this is like beyond normal. And it affects what I can eat, what I can drink, what I can handle in a day, which I think is different. And it's just really inconsistent, I would say, because going through all I've been through, there's never been a consistency with cycles.
How does having endometriosis stand apart from other complications you experience?
That is a very interesting question, because I feel like there are a lot of connections as well as standing apart. So for example, I've had asthma since the day I was born. Endometriosis does not really affect my asthmatic flare-ups, but if I'm having an asthmatic flare-up, it does affect everything else as well, because it's the oxygen and airflow. So if it's, for some reason, something really bad happens and I have an asthma attack and a period at the same time, that would very much connect. But asthma is usually a very standalone thing. But everything else, like menstrual migraines, salt deficiency. Right now I'm struggling with thyroid inflammation, which is causing a whole bunch of issues. That all does come back to the endometriosis. And I think the only thing that also is a standalone is I had like a hip issue, but that was all the way my joint was connected. But in a way, I guess it does mildly connect because of the way I had to like hobble around and the procedures they had to do to my lower area because of the hip. I think that also did inflame some things before this current surgery. I think there was some issues getting a period to be more consistent, and it was a little bit traumatized after the hip surgery. So in a way, things stand alone, but in a way it does come together. But all of like the thyroid, salt, menstrual migraines, all of that does connect, and they were individual problems before, but we're starting to connect them now.
What are your personal accounts of all the benefits and risks of each treatment you've trialed?
That, again, great question. In theory, I see the benefits. I really do. But experiencing them, it's been a little bit rough, and it feels like there's been more risks than benefits. For a while, I was stable on a birth control hormone estrogen method, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. It was just not doing well. I guess my body either got overused to it or something happened that we decided, this medication is not working for me and we need to figure out what's going on. And then I had a surgery which does, mess with some things. And I was put back on the birth control and it just got so much worse. So we decided to try Orilissa, which puts you through medical menopause. And at first, that seems like a great idea. Cut off the estrogen, cut off what's feeding the endometriosis. There won't be pain because there won't be any estrogen there to cause it. And it went okay at first. It was definitely like draining, and it definitely had its effects just because that's a massive shock to your hormones. However, as time went on, I was unable to handle that medicine anymore, and lost 15 pounds vomiting up food and not being able to eat because of that medication really just remained on my stomach. So in a way, the endometriosis pain was away, but then I also gave away my ability to eat and keep food in, and that was a bigger risk to me. And then ever since I came off, it's been a rebalancing act, which is understandable but really annoying because it's hard to all of a sudden go from medical menopause to a natural cycle, which I have not had since I was 14 years old, to back to birth control methods. And all of these massive hormone changes has definitely been affecting a lot of things, including heavily like my mental state, what I can handle eating, sleeping. My sleep schedule has been really messed up by it. My focus, all of those things. I think that's what caused the thyroid issues. It's just hard because I see the benefits of we're doing the best we can with a hormone and menstrual issue, but I've definitely felt like it's been a lot more risks than benefits, and it's not against my doctor. It's against the lack of resources and the lack of understanding and research of this disease, that there isn't really any options for us other than hormonal manipulation when you're as young as I am. And even if they would be able to give me a hysterectomy, that's not a solid cure. There is no cure. That might take away most of the pain, but there is still issues there. So it's hard because there really isn't anything that's gonna make it better.
Lexi, the last question I have for you is to tell us more about how endometriosis has influenced your mental health and your perception of your sexuality.
So let's cover mental health first. It's definitely been damaging because hormone changes in an extreme amount is very damaging on its own. Your moods with like PMS and everything, and I do have what's called PMDD, which is basically PMS disorder, where you're uncontrollably PMSing all the time. And we've put me on medication for that to like even it out, and it's worked for a very long time, but with these massive hormone changes happening with medication shifts, it hasn't exactly been covering like it should. And it really does wreck mental health, I would say, because it wrecks everything. For a while, I was told from my therapist that I convinced my body I was dying because of all these health issues. And it really does mess with everything. Like with my relationship, a lot of what was going on was I was thinking, I am so sick. He deserves somebody who isn't sick, who can handle walking outside, who can go eat dinner with him and not throw it back up. So it was hard on myself as well. I didn't feel like I was healthy enough to have the relationships I have, even with friends. It was really hard to, because I felt really guilty if I had to run in the bathroom to throw up at an event, or I couldn't show up because of that. So it was definitely isolating. It's definitely, I'd say, caused depression, and I wouldn't call it suicidal thoughts. What my therapist said is giving up the will to live and convincing my body that I am dying, so there is no point in trying, which I'm working on. But in a way, it makes me feel better because it's I know it's the hormone misbalances, and I know it's not me, it's these massive medication changes. But at the end of the day, that's not an answer. It's just a kind of a label for it. So it really has wrecked a lot with mental health. It, like I said, you think that you're not worthy of these relationships because you're so sick you can't handle doing things with them. So it's very hard. So yeah, I'm really grateful, however, that I have a really good support system with my friends, some of my family, and my relationship. He is very supportive of me, which means everything. I guess part of the mental health issues is that it's hard because no one can really see what's going on. They can tell you don't feel good, but they can't see the lesions on you. They don't understand it. A lot of people don't like talking about it because it's very personal, very, I guess, taboo to talk about. It is very taboo to talk about women's health. So people don't like talking about it. It makes them uncomfortable, and just people don't understand it. They don't follow what's going on, and that can be hard. I definitely have family members who just don't understand, and they make it hard, and they'll be like, well, your cousin has infertility issues, so she's the one that really has these health issues, and she's the one that needs the support, not you. And that's definitely rough. And then to be told by some of my family members the only reason that they want me to get better is strictly to have babies, that is so messed up, but also just really upsetting, because it's it makes you think is my only worth as a woman is to give birth? That's so screwed up, and I need my husband's permission to remove my uterus because he might want babies down the road. All of that is really screwy, and it does mess with your mental health, because you think why am I not in control of my own body and my own actions? So it is upsetting, and like I said, I'm very, very grateful for my support system, as they are there to calm me down if I have a panic attack on the toilet because something is wrong with my period. I'm very grateful for them to be there for me, to be able to be I'm freaking out, don't know what's going on. So it's really nice to be able to have those people. It's just rough to deal with the people that don't understand. And it does mess with your sexuality as well, because there is just in general pain and issues in that area. So it's hard because you kind of think I can't have sex like a normal person can. I'm gonna have pain before, during, and after. It's not gonna be fun. And obviously being in your head like that isn't gonna help either. But it really does mess with your sexuality as well, because you have to find a partner that's going to be understanding and supportive of that, of your pain and your issues, and who won't pressure you into things. And it is hard because you can want to do something 1 minute and then all of a sudden you don't, because your hormones shifted and you just don't think you can do stuff like that. And it does really mess with that. Also correlates with mental health, because you think I'm an adult. Why is it that I can't do these things that other adults do? It's very, I'd say, inconsistent, but to be honest, even if you are in a mood that you think you can do something, at the end of the day, there are still pain and issues around that area, so it will still cause a problem. It just may be farther down the process.
What resources are available for people who suspect they have endometriosis?
So the number one thing is obviously to contact your doctor and let them know, have a doctor you can trust and say, I think I have endometriosis, could we start the process of diagnosing me with this? But really what helped me is external research. There are some good sources considering there's little. Endometriosis.net is a great one, has a lot of information, a lot of personal stories that you can follow and connect with. What I found really supportive resource-wise was Facebook groups, actually. One that really helps is endometriosis. It's END is capitalized. I think there's endometriosis support. I have a couple that I saved or that I'm a part of. And it's really nice and helpful to see fellow endometriosis sisters have your back and ask questions, someone to talk about symptoms with who understand. We share resources as soon as we find them. Just to have that sense of community of you're not alone in this situation is beyond helpful, to have a person there. And they're all so kind and helpful. They want to interact with your real life as well. So many of them have followed me on Instagram and send support in my DMs, which it's great. It's so nice. And, it's always a good time. With March being Endometriosis Awareness Month, it's yes, this sucks, but we have a little party within our community because we're hey, this is about us. Mm-hmm. This is about recognizing our situation, and we're going to spread the word, but we're together in this.
Well, thank you, Lexi, for sharing with us, and thank you for tuning in to listen to Lexi's story. And please don't forget, if you suspect that you have any similarities to Lexi's story, please contact your doctor and share with them what you are experiencing. And please feel free to reach out to endometriosis.net.